6 o'clock, let's get started. In order. Call roll.
Mitch Burnett.
Here.
Joel Cannon.
Yes.
Jerry Dodd.
Here.
David Jackson.
Here.
Sharon Paredes. Here. Buddy Wallace.
Here.
Raymond Yerby.
Here.
Okay, the next item on the agenda, call the meeting for is review and discuss the resumes for administrator.
I move we go into executive session.
Motion made in favor of going to executive session. All roll. Yes. Call the roll.
Burnett.
Yes.
Cannon.
Yes.
Dodd.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Paredes.
Yes.
Wallace.
Yes.
Yerby.
Yes.
See you later, guys.
I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
Are we ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
Yes, we're back in executive session.
Ready? In executive session, we made a motion after consideration to interview 5 people, and their names are in alphabetic order. 1 is Kelly Brooks. 2 is James
Hewitt.
3 is Pamela Warner Smith. 4 is David Walker, and 5 is Chris Walker. I make a motion that we interview these people on a schedule of the 8th of July at 7 p.m. We'll interview 2. The 11th of July at 7 p.m. we'll interview 2. And if required, on the 14th of July, we'll interview 1. The interviews will be in alphabetic order.
Second. Motion made, second that we interview 5 people that have been named, dates specified. Everybody clear on the motion? Any questions? Any questions?
And who seconded that? I'm sorry. Jackson.
I did. Sorry.
Burnett.
Yes.
Cannon.
Yes.
Dodd.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Paredes.
Yes.
Wallace.
Yes.
Yerby.
Yes.
Okay. Taking care of that. We've got one other item, that's the trailer.
Well, I think from what we found out talking to Edward, we just need walking floor trailers. Work just good for dust. So my 2 bits are. How do you have any idea how long ago was we ordered or bought the last walking floor trailers?
There were 5 bought. The bids were read on 4/19/2010. The winning bid at that time was $50,850.
Do we have a spec that we can send to these people to put in that newspaper?
When do we need to walk the floor?
It automatically discharges it.
Yeah, no, but I thought whenever these things pulled up to where this going, they hooked on to the jump.
They go to paper mill?
They go generally.
dump them?
They generally dump them down at most of the landfill.
A lot of this dust is used at landfills. So those trucks have got to be.
I made copies of the last bid, so you'll
I
have
guess
an
I
idea
don't
of
know.
what.
I just had it in my mind, that's where they go.
They shake and
Do they?
count down.
Here's the copies of the last bids and the prices if you remember.
So are these like special trucks just for dust?
No, the walking floor is a pretty common floor issue.
Okay.
And since we've had these for almost 5
So
years.
these are the same, the kind that we already have?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're
and
not the special ones that we talked about before?
They're not the ones that the hydraulics are in there that pushes the trash out and
Yeah.
you lose 10,000 pounds or more.
I will will tell you.
You want, go ahead, Chris, and tell them what you were telling me about the government program?
Yeah, and I will tell you too, real quick on this, that the bids were read on April the 19th, and the first trailer was received on 7/12. So it took 3 months to get those trailers. So it may be a little quicker than I thought. David Walker contacted me earlier, and he said, "Do you remember what they were telling us about the government pricing?" I cannot remember what it's called. It's like the NPDS or something on government pricing. And I know the Caterpillar dealer came and talked to us here a while back, and I think the Kenworth guy told us that government agencies automatically get the lowest price available on equipment. And I know tires, we get a government price on tires. And in that case, you don't have to bid it out. It's whatever the lowest price available is from the company that offers that product. I can look into that more for you guys because I don't know exactly what it would be on these trailers. Like I said, I know they told us about the equipment, loaders and skid steers and things like that for what, Caterpillar.
Can we buy it all off the GSA schedule? You ever heard of that?
I've heard of it. I was going to say, do you know what that's called?
Well, I know it's
GSA?
a GSA schedule. Now, they sell everything off GSA on schedules.
Well, yeah, I know that, but that's federal. I
Well,
didn't know
they, a
that
lot of
they
times.
expanded it to the,
Well, I've understood some state governments have bought off it. I don't know how far that goes, Mitchell. I don't know. I know back when I was actually putting in for 5-ton military truck parts, we was going to sell to anybody that came along. And sometimes what you can do is you find your schedule, you call them up and say, I'm a government agency out here, will you sell it to me at the GSA price? And I agree with Chris, if you buy it like that, and that's already been competed, you don't have to compete
Right.
again.
Well, maybe she could, on the.
county ought to know
She
that.
would be,
What you think? County judge wouldn't. they
I'll call him
should.
and find out. Like I said, David came in when he got off he worked Jonesville today, and he came in and he said, I forgot. I just remembered they were telling us about that at one point. And I said, you know what? I forgot about it too. Because I know they told us on the skid steer, that we might, the loaders and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just driving me crazy because I can't think of what it's called. They call it the MPDS
State
or-
program, but anyway, it should work.
Well, another thing too is you could call up to,
It's a new program
the
that
county,
just started in
I
the
mean,
last year or so.
The city, the state procurement office, and ask them all to get the contacts up there. I've talked to those people a couple of times through the National Contract Maintenance Association.
that's David's.
I can certainly give those procurement people a call, see if there is any schedules.
I guess, we could know that, we could next meeting, right?
I guess the question here is that we can pursue two ways, but do we want to pursue putting an ad in the paper for bids?
I don't think, I think the way we did it back in 2010, I don't remember, I'm not saying one way or the other about putting it in the paper. But I know that specific contractors, companies that sold them, were the ones that had furnished them in the past that we asked those people, contacted them directly, hey, we're fixing, because if I remember correctly, on some of that specialized stuff like that in time past, but the paper didn't yield much result because when there's no suppliers reading the daily record,
Well, and if you notice the prices of the last few ads we've done, it's outrageous.
Yes, I am.
I know they're outrageous. I'm every 2 or 3 months I put in there these. I tell people, like when I do a small estate administration, I tell them it's $1.75 a word. They nearly broke. I say, well, what can I say? In my opinion, at least we're not the bank foreclosing on something when they have a half a page. Well, I guess the question is, I don't know the answer to this one is, are we required to run an ad in the newspaper
We
even if we go
really need
out?
to be able, we
If
really
we
need to
go
ask
that
our
program,
job.
if we go that program,
Right.
like, that,
We're not.
I mean, if it's included, that, what you're telling me, that should,
Why
that's
was-
probably the reason they came out with that program, say you have to spend all that money on the newspaper ads.
Why was John Roberts do this? Did he have anything to do with it? He might know exactly what-
John
I believe
Rogers
he wrote
was at
the
the meeting
specs on that.
because he always wrote the specs. That's,
Yeah.
that's a sore point with me. We relied on him, in my opinion, for way too much. But we may have to rely on him in the future, but you know.
But I was just wondering, would he know what she asked the question?
No, he worked technically on the specs, and he would
Yeah.
review the specs. And if there's any questions, a lot of times, I always thought that we ought to have an administrator that could say yay or nay on all these specs. But, you know, it's just me.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to pay somebody to make our own decision for it.
Wow.
Good. Just like that door out there.
Yeah.
Price door.
Yeah.
It only cost us $9,100.
Well, I guess I'd like to make a motion an alternative. If we can buy these trailers under this government, we'll call it spec program, we'll proceed that way. If we can't, then we will run an ad in the paper for one time to meet some statutory requirement. And then to actually get the bids in, I agree with Mitchell, we'll contact the people and say, hey, we got this out here, please respond. So I think we probably have to do that.
Second.
Okay, motion made, and second, that we try the government program first, and can't do that, advertise, and paper, and contact people we've done business with. Any questions?
The only question I have, and again, this doesn't really have to do with where we buy the trucks. This particular agreement now, is this null and void?
Well, I
All
wouldn't,
these things
we'll
are
have to
null and
wait,
void.
you know, part of it, what, you mean the agreement with Primeline?
Timeline.
I don't think it's null and void. What would be null and void?
Well, I'm just curious because it says that it still has to be done by Donaldson and by Friendship.
Well, the ordinance says only if it's over 200,000.
Well, that's not what this agreement says. That's why I'm asking. And it's supposed to start on June 1st.
On that, he did say that he would change the date according to
Whenever, okay, so
when
that's what I
everything was
was.
actually finalized.
Well, but still the number one is that it had to be ratified. It didn't, this agreement doesn't say anything about money. I'm just asking because I don't know.
Well, if
And so I don't know if we
the
need to
court
redo
and
this.
Donaldson then would have to vote on it, it would go through an ordinance process, since we're just buying it.
That's not, but that's not what this agreement says. I'm just,
Well, I guess,
I just don't want us to get in trouble later. See what I'm saying?
well, we can
I don't know if we
amend.
need to redo,
Do you
whatever.
want to amend the agreement? Probably not a bad idea.
I'm just bringing it up for thought. I mean, and that again has nothing to do with specs on a truck, which, quite honestly, I personally don't know anything about specs on a truck. So,
I guess
just
if I
know
was
that this
going
is
to
the-
amend it, what I would say is that if, and this is the way I would do.
David today about that, if he was going to talk to y'all again at the next meeting.
I would say that we do something like this. If the bill for these 3 trailers are more than 200,000, then we would amend it to take out the ratification. And if it's over, then we leave the ratification
Let's say it again, I think you.
in. If,
I think you said it backwards, but yeah.
well, I may have.
Yeah.
If the bill for the 3 trailers
Is under the limit.
is under 200,000, then we amend the agreement to take out the ratification requirement.
I agree with that.
All right, so do we still need to vote on this about the government and the trucks first?
Yeah,
I
we-
know
oh,
this.
yeah,
We need to
yeah.
vote
We
on
need to
that.
vote on that
Okay,
first.
yeah,
That's-
well.
Sorry.
Okay. All right, call roll. Chris, please.
Burnett,
Yes.
Cannon,
Yes.
Dodd,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Paredes,
Yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Yerby.
Yes.
Trouble.
I am, I know.
Well, there's nothing wrong with cutting square corners. That way nobody
I
gets
just
upset
don't,
at
you
us.
know, like I said, we buy trucks and then somebody comes back and says, you were supposed to have permission from Friendship before you bought that. Because this absolutely says nothing about any type of cap or anything on money or or anything, and it said, you know, June 1st,
Well,
and
here's the thing about it.
I'm just saying.
See, one
The only
thing,
thing that changed was this number and taking out this sentence.
But we also voted to use the
Yeah,
money
okay.
on account instead of having to go through.
so this,
But that's
that
way
puts
on
this
down
back,
there.
that puts this
What
back
is-
as just a regular purchase.
Purchase.
Okay, it's just not a special purchase. So, as far as I'm
See,
concerned,
I'm
I was the
thinking we
one
need,
that.
I'm thinking we just need a
that
whole
had
new
this-
thing.
that,
Yeah,
recommended we put this number 1 in there,
yeah.
and I'd be the one to recommend that we
Take
take
it
it
out.
out.
All right, I'll make the motion then.
But do
If-
we need to wait for our attorney to decide that?
I think just internally ourselves.
Well, I know when Mr., because they told me today, he said he was going to bring some of that up, but he said that
So
was
we
really
probably
what the
should
meeting's
wait
about,
until
because
the-
he wanted to wait and talk to y'all. about
Probably
it.
wanna wait then. Maybe we
Okay, let's
should
put
wait.
it on the,
Yeah,
the-
but that is something we need to look at, so, the dates and the, anything else that we wanna look at. So that is something to think about.
Okay. We didn't need a motion.